Boom. We're back on. I think it was like, it would have to be well over a year ago that you've come on.
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was after the 8-man in Melbourne that I won Alpha Fight Series. Would have been August 2022.
Really?
So, yeah, 2 years ago.
No shit. And that was when you just won, wasn't it a tournament in Sydney?
No, Melbourne.
Melbourne?
It was an 8-man tournament in Melbourne. I won...
That was for a cash prize.
Yeah, 25k cash prize. Beautiful. But yeah, that was the one where I broke my leg.
Yeah.
Do you remember I was in here and my leg was like all bandaged up and you're like, I think you need to get it checked out, dude.
Yeah.
I went and got it checked out a couple of weeks after and I had a fracture in the fibula. So.
And then this whole schmozzle happened. Oh, not really. You did fucking well. We were just talking about it off camera. Considering like your style, which is so movement based and so technical.
Yeah.
Like you did well considering you fucking were injured.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the listeners, I just came back from China 2 weeks ago having a fight against Yodwa Shah, who is, if not the best, one of the best 70 kilo fighters at the moment. He's a Thai. He's got a very strong walk forward style. He's fucking dominant at the moment.
Was it a kickboxing or Muay Thai event?
It was kickboxing.
K1.
No, it was Chinese kickboxing rules. It's Sanxiao type rules. It's kickboxing, but you're allowed to catch and sweep, I think.
You're allowed a knee in the clinch?
You're allowed a knee in the clinch, yeah. Yeah, so K1 you're not allowed... So K1 you're only allowed to grab on with one... Under K1... K1's a organisation, but it's synonymous with a style. But K1's the original organisation. And under their rules, you were only allowed to hold on to the head with one hand and knee, and you had to let go.
Yeah, one knee and then release.
One knee and then release. This one was you're allowed two hands and knee, but you're only allowed one knee, and then you have to...
no elbows.
No elbows and no sweeps or takedowns. So, yeah, it was Chinese kickboxing. They have their own... It's China, man. They have, like, their own...
Have you fought there before?
Never in China, no.
Have you been there before?
Only in passing, like never out of the airport.
Is it crazy?
You know what? I actually had a lot of preconceptions about China and what I thought it would be like, but it was pretty I don't know.
Normal?
Yeah, it was totally normal. People were happy.
Did you go to, was it Zhongqing?
Chongqing, yeah.
Is that the real futuristic style kind of city?
Yeah, no. I think I know what you're talking about, but...
There's the spellings and the pronunciations just go straight over my head.
No, so it's an old city. It used to be a capital city of some sort.
Yeah.
It's kind of on the side of a mountain. There are, in the city area, in the central business district area, it is kind of futuristic. There's a lot of people there. There was I don't know, millions, probably 30 at one point.
The population of Australia in
the
city.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, and they're, it's this massive sprawling city on the side of a mountain where the river is as well. But no, it's not like, if you go to Shanghai or you go to Beijing or something, it's not like that. It's much more rural and agricultural. But
yeah, like Matty was saying, he got to China to fight in this. It was a 4-man?
Yeah, so it was a 4-man with me, Yodwa Shah, and two other guys, a local Chinese guy who is their kind of hero, and a Belarusian kickboxer who's had 40 or something fights, who I think's fought on their show before. Originally, they had me fighting Yodwa Shah. Originally they contacted me back in April, and they were like, we want to put you on with Yodwa Shah. And I was like, yep, let's do it. Then about 4 weeks later, they oh no, you're no longer fighting him. You're now fighting the Chinese guy. And the dates changed and, just completely fucked me up there. But then a couple of weeks later, they changed it back. I think they must have got someone else and decided, we'll do it as a 4-man tournament. So I fought Yodwa Shah first, and the other two fought, and then the finalists had the option but not the obligation to fight again if they wanted to. It was weird. I said to them, why wouldn't anyone want to do the 4-man?
So it was kind of a 4-man.
Yeah, so they said to us, if you guys win and you want to fight again, you can. We would like that, but there's no obligation for you to do so. I don't know why they did that.
Might be legal reasons.
Potentially, potentially. But that was the sort of the gist of it. So yeah, and then literally 2.5 weeks before I was due to fight out, on the Wednesday, so I fought on the Saturday, so it was Wednesday, 2.5 weeks prior, I was at training, and then I injured my calf. I ended up with a grade 1.5, grade 2 nearly tear on my calf, where the calf muscle belly meets the Achilles tendon. And I was, as soon as it happened, because it was a re-injury of a previous injury that I did back end of last year, I was like, fuck's sake, I know how long this takes. This is like a 6-8 week injury. And I was like, that's initially in my head, I'm like, that's me done. I can't. But I took my wrap off and I strapped it up straight away, and I went home and I iced it. I got straight onto the phone with my physio, Tristan, and sports doc Walker, who's the sports doc for the Crows and 36ers. And he was like, yep, come in, we'll give it a scan, and we'll assess it from there. So I messaged the promoter in China, and I was like, look, this is what's happened. Give me till Monday and I'll let you know. And it just seemed to get a lot better really quickly. I couldn't run or jump or anything, but I was able to walk around, unassisted and stuff like that. So I was like, there's a chance that this could be okay. And I went to the sports doc, and he was like, look, 70% chance that you'll be fine. There's a 1 in 3 chance that it will get re-injured. So, if you're comfortable with that, then do whatever you want. And I was like, sweet, those are good enough odds for me. I'm going. So I went there knowing full well that I had this injury. I was like, fuck it, see what happens. And then everything was good. It was up until maybe 5-10 minutes before that we were warming up, just as I was about to go out, and it popped again.
It's always how it happens. It's just the Murphy's Law, eh?
100%, And I was saying to you before, if it didn't go in the warm-up, 100% it would have gone in the ring. So, maybe I look back at it and I think, should I have gone? Should I have, been more sensible? But for me, I'm a risk taker, man. I was just like, fuck it, give it a crack, have a go. Because like I was saying to you again before, I'm just finding it so hard to get fights in Australia at the moment.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Is the kickboxing and Muay Thai scene in Australia kind of just dwindling?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say that in South Australia, which is where I've primarily had a lot of, you've always had Knees of Fury and stuff like that, so it's been easy to get fights. In the last sort of 3 to 5 years, I've had to move a lot more to fighting interstate and internationally. Interstate because there's just better fights on offer. But if you're not from interstate, if you're not from Melbourne or you're not from Queensland or whatever, you don't get treated the same a little bit.
You don't get treated like the A side.
Well, there are
equal.
Everyone's look. To be fair, I always get a pretty good deal wherever I go, because I think because we turn up, we're professional. We're always just like, yep, whatever, we'll be there, and we don't fuck around, and say, oh, this, we're always just like, yep, let's do it.
Always making weight.
Exactly. I've never missed weight in my life. I've always shown up every single time, and I won't pull out of a fight even if I have an injury. I don't like to, make things difficult for people that open doors for you, if you know what I mean. So anyway, but the problem that I've started to encounter lately is that the pool of fighters that I can potentially fight in Australia is quite small. Promoters don't want to put on just any old fight. They want good fights. But then you're looking at guys who want to be paid 10, 15 grand to fight. And that kind of money just isn't there yet in the sport. So I'm finding it really difficult. I've had 2 fights this year. Both have been overseas. Last year I had 4 fights. 3 of them were on one night. So, it's really hard to get consistent fights every 2 to 3 months. But that's just, you just suck it up and deal with it. So.
Am I imagining, or the last time we did a podcast, you were even contemplating dipping your toes into boxing?
Yes, I was contemplating, and I still am. Just because, like pro boxing though, I don't want to, fuck around with the amateur sort of stuff. I was
going to say, if you did an MMA fight, I would be pretty certain you'd be able to get thrown straight into pro. It would be a disservice to whatever fucking amateur copped you as a debut.
I mean, I've toyed with the idea a lot, but I'm always in a fight camp.
Yeah.
And I'm always just like, oh, well, and then they inevitably fall through, or, your opponent changes or the date changes or whatever. If I was 5 years younger, I probably would, to be honest. But, now I'm just like, what's the point?
Have you been in contact with Karate Combat again or anything like that?
I did initially. So I fought with Karate Combat in 2021. That was when the old president was in charge.
They're killing it now.
Yeah, they've got that new guy who's, I don't know, it's just all a bit of a sideshow to me.
It is, but I like that they're kind of just leaning into it. They've
just gone hard, yeah.
This is not... We're never going to be like the biggest promotion, but we can make it fun. And they're like having jiu-jitsu. The jiu-jitsu in the pit is really cool as well.
I know Craig Jones went on there, didn't he?
And he he had a match. He did a flying triangle off the side of the pit.
Fucking hell, yeah. They've fully leaned into it because the president that owns it now, or runs it, he runs that goat shed gym in Florida.
Yeah.
And I always, they're a bit of a joke, to be honest with you. I see a lot of the stable of fighters they have there. There's a couple of good ones, but a lot of them are just fucking Instagram fighters, They've got millions of followers on Instagram, and they do all these videos, but they actually can't fight. They're just technique videos. Yeah. But yeah, when they changed over, I don't know. I just get weird vibes from it, to be honest, man. It seems like a deeply unserious organization.
Do you follow it at all? Do you have it on Instagram?
I saw the president fucking choking out some fighter the other day that entered the ring.
Did you see James Vick get knocked out?
Yeah, I did, with the switch kick. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus
That
Christ.
Was probably one of the most brutal head kick knockouts I think I've ever seen.
Oh, he's got a really, really bad chin as well from the UFC.
Yeah.
He needs to hang it up, because every time I see him, because he fights every couple years, and every time I see it, he's on the wrong end of the highlight reel.
Yeah.
So you need to hang it up eventually.
Well, on that same show, the owner or the president of the organization, there was some fight in the... Actually, I don't know if it's staged or not. I would suspect that it is. So the coach of one of the fighters stormed the ring because he got a decision against him or something. And
really?
Yeah, and then the president went in and fucking choked him out.
Oh, this has to be staged.
It's totally staged, man.
Has to be.
I think so. But I just see that and I'm like, oh, God,
One thing I do like about it, I love the pit.
It is, yeah.
Craig Jones has formed his own organisation now, CJI, and it's competing with ADCC.
Mm-hmm.
And he's taken the pit and he's going to use that in his jiu-jitsu promotion.
Yeah.
Or his jiu-jitsu event.
I feel like the pit would be really useful for jiu-jitsu.
Well, in jiu-jitsu, I don't know if you watch a heap of it, but a big thing is you can kind of run off the mat.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're getting rushed or you're getting taken down, you can kind of just hop and just run off the mat, and then you have to restart.
In the middle again.
So this pit is like, you're going to run straight into a fucking wall.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to get taken down.
Well, it's like jiu-jitsu in a cage, I guess, isn't it? But the pit with the sort of 45-degree angle kind of changes the calculus a little bit, because you can't kind of use it as a tool to lean against.
See, Muay Thai or kickboxing in a cage, ONE FC to me is the top tier in kickboxing now in Muay Thai. Well, for me anyway, because I do appreciate the savagery that comes with Muay Thai in 4-ounce gloves though.
Yeah.
I do. I just think...
It's brutal.
It's so brutal, but it's just so fun. Like, it's just so fun to watch.
Yeah, well, there's... The other thing as well is, like, traditionally Muay Thai fighters don't tend to have great boxing skills.
Yeah.
And so...
Not the heaviest hands.
No.
But it seems like the new school of Thai fighters do invest in their hands heaps more.
They have to, because they realise that with 4-ounce gloves, you can't have bad head movement or no head movement.
Well, you can't have it against people like Haggerty or like Liam is it Liam Harrison?
Harrison, yeah.
But that Haggerty, he's a bad motherfucker too. Like,
he's good, man. Yeah, he's very good.
He's small. He's smaller than you.
Yeah. He's bantamweight or flyweight even.
Is that like the golden standard? Is that where young Muay Thai or young kickboxers should end up wanting to go now? Would you say?
In terms of the standard of competition, yes and no. Yes, because in certain divisions, there's also RWS. I'm not sure if you've heard of RWS. So RWS is Raja Damnan World Series. Raja is one of the main stadiums they have there. And they have a stadium show now that's televised live. It's on DAZN. You probably will have seen it on Instagram. Like Yodwisha fights there. There's a few Aussies that fight on that show. Max McVicker's on that as well. That is probably, if you want like pure Muay Thai, that's probably the place to go. In terms of kickboxing, but even then, even saying that, you got guys like Superbon and stuff in one. The problem with one is they're very much like the UFC.
I hear the contracts are a bit shady.
Yes, yeah.
I have heard.
It's very cult-like, man.
I have heard that, and I reckon they obviously would look after. I don't know. I'd hope they would look after Thais and that a lot better than Westerners. I would hope that anyway. Yeah, because
they do.
It's a big shot for them, but I have heard their contracts can be really bullshit.
Well, talk to Tony Caruso. He was on there for MMA, and I think he signed a couple-year deal with them, and they do what they like, same as what the UFC do. Like Glory did it to me. You sign a contract, you lose one fight, and then you're put on the shelf.
Yeah, ice you out.
And they will not let you fight again for another 6, 12 months, whatever. In the meantime, you're getting ring rust, and they don't let you then go and fight on other promotions either. So, there's no...
I forgot that you went to Glory.
Yeah, I was on Glory, but the problem with that coincided with COVID, and then they turned around to me and said, "Oh, it's too expensive to fly." And this is this is why I didn't sign with Karate Combat either. I'll touch on that in a minute. Glory turned around and said to me during COVID, because I fought in October 2019 before all of the nonsense that happened, and then they started banning flights and stuff. When borders opened up again, they said to me, "Oh, look, it's too expensive to fly you out. We're just going to do shows for locals." And now Glory's that kind of went into the wilderness for a little bit. It started to pick back up again. But, it was nowhere near, for the last sort of maybe 4 or 5 years, it's been really kind of on the back burner. Karate Combat did the same thing to me. Before my fight, my opponent pulled out, couldn't get a visa or something, and they couldn't find a replacement fight for me. And I'd already, my family and stuff had already booked flights, and Jez and Richie already had flights as well. Because we were prepared. I was assuming I had a fight, and then they turned around to me. They're like, "Oh, it's getting really expensive to fly you out. It's $5,000 US per flight, blah blah blah." And I was like, I just saw the writing on the wall there, where they're like, "You are a very expensive asset because you're in Australia versus someone who lives in the US that we can fly out for nothing." Living in Australia is a bit of a burden in that sense, because you're so far away from the US, you're so far away from Europe. Shows that a base there will prioritise guys from those regions.
With Glory, was that a bit disheartening? Because I'm sure you would have grown up watching Glory as that would be never meet your idols kind of thing.
100%, yeah. And it wasn't just me, it was River Daz on there as well. And he'd literally, just before the borders had shut down, he won a 4-man in China on Glory. And I think he was 4-0 or something in Glory. He was doing really well. They just did the same thing to him. They were like, "Look, it's too expensive. We literally can't afford." Because at that stage, flights were $4,000 return. It was super expensive because no airlines were operating.
Yeah, just post-COVID.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's why they were like, "Oh, we can't really do it." And then, so Glory were happy enough to let me kind of breach contract and just fight, because they weren't, So I was a little bit that's why when Karate Combat were like, "Oh, we want you to sign," I was like, I don't know. I'll happily sign and fight on your show internationally, like exclusively, but I don't want to be limited to fighting on your show. Like, I want to be able to fight in Australia whenever I want. And I don't want your permission. I just want to do it. I don't want to have to ask your permission.
Which is fair.
And I said that to them, and they just ummed and ahed, and I was like, well, I don't care, you know. I don't need you. You know, it was great fighting on your show. Your show was... It was actually really good because I had like Gabriel Varga on there, who's ex-Glory world champion. Like
GSP was commentating?
GSP was commentating. I met him.
That's fucking wild.
Wonder Boy was there. I met him. Baz Rutten, sat in a room with him, and you know...
That's worth it in itself.
100%. Like, it was really...
The experience itself would have been worth it.
Yeah, dude. And they brought down like Raymond Daniels and like, you know, there's heaps of people there. It was like really... That was when Ian Gary was there as well. I was like, why the fuck is this guy here? But then I realised that's when he was dating... his wife was a commentator of...
Does Raymond Daniels still fight on Karate Combat?
He's had 2 fights. His last 2 fights, I think he's lost both of them. So I don't know. Yeah, I think he's probably done, to be honest.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He was so good to watch when
in
he
his
was
prime,
on
man. Yeah,
that 720 spinning fucking Superman punch he landed. Was that in Bellator or in Karate?
Bellator.
That was in Bellator.
Yeah. That was like peak Raymond Daniels. And then... you know, he sort of fell off. But he's old now, man. He's like 40. So.
Did you watch the UFC on... This will be last weekend now when this comes out. Did you watch it?
With Pereira?
Yeah.
I've only caught the highlights.
Did you see any highlights of MVP, Michael Venom Page and Ian Gary?
No.
Terrible fight.
Yeah.
I think there was 14 significant strikes landed between both of them the whole fight.
What, they just danced around each other, or did they grapple, or what?
Gary grappled a lot, but like
he's not a grappler though, is he?
Well, you're going to turn into one when you're opposite.
Yes, that's true.
He's a better grappler than MVP.
Yeah.
But I could see it happening anyway, because you're getting a counter striker fighting another counter striker. It's just a bad recipe.
Yeah.
It's just always going to be a bad recipe. So I didn't have high expectations of the fight.
Yeah.
Like, you need to rush MVP to get caught. He's not just going to catch you. He needs to find an opening to catch you, and Gary wasn't going to give him that opening.
Yeah.
MVP wasn't going to blitz forward for no reason, so it was just they cancelled each other out.
Super cagey then.
Yeah. It was just looking at each other.
See, you got to wonder, like, what's Dana White doing?
Dana White now will give them both very bad matchups.
Yeah.
Oh, he will give... I don't know. Any matchup for Gary after this will be like a hard fight because he'll move up.
Yeah.
But I imagine he'll give MVP a terrible matchup, like a real bad wrestler.
How long's MVP been at the UFC?
It's his second fight.
Yeah, right.
The first fight where he got the win against this guy called Kevin Holland.
Mm.
But it's... I think what needs to happen in Australia because I feel like Muay Thai and kickboxing has taken a bit of a backseat to MMA in Australia in the last 5 years. Because I remember when I was growing up, Muay Thai was huge.
Yeah.
Like...
It still is. It still is. I think MMA is just maybe overtaken it.
I think there just needs to be a more premier promotion for professionals to fight on.
Yes. In MMA or Muay Thai?
In Muay Thai.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be... Like, what Carly's doing is phenomenal. The Pride shows are phenomenal. Yeah. But there needs to be something that... Like, there needs to be other people doing what she's doing, but on a bigger scale. But you need the funding. You need someone with exorbitant amount of money that loves the sport to fund it.
There's not enough money in the sport at all.
Mm. And there should be. Like, it's fucking brutal. Like... I wouldn't... There's like Isaac Richards. I would not fight that cunt for fucking $200.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to fight him for $200? Or like Jack Spacey. Who wants to fight Jack for fucking $500? Shout out to that guy.
Not me. That's for sure.
He used to fight for free in the gym.
Yeah. No, he's good, old Jack. But I think the thing with Muay Thai is now that traditionally there's been no money in the sport because like you go to Thailand traditionally, the prize that you'd get for fighting, even on the biggest stadium shows over there, was still fuck all. But now you've got RWS, you've got ONE, you've got shows that do actually pay pretty good money. And I think it brings eyes and it brings attention.
Well,
once you've got that, then...
There's some people even in ONE now that are kind of transcending the sport of Muay Thai, which they never would have done before. Like, what's that girl's name? She always dances... She's always smiling. Stamp, Fairtex. She she's like a character that a lot of people would know that don't even know what Muay Thai is, because she's just a character. That would have never have happened a decade ago.
No. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So the sport is upgrading. I just feel like it could be so much bigger in Australia because it's the best part of MMA. It's the funnest part.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the sport is growing slowly, but the rate of growth of MMA has been significant, and it's much more, you know.
There's not a heap of like, there's not a ton of strict Muay Thai gyms anymore either, to my knowledge. Like, a lot of gyms kind of dabble with MMA and stuff now.
You do have there are occasional strict Muay Thai gyms, but I think it's a sign of the times where you've got shows like One, which have Muay Thai, MMA, and kickboxing, and they blur the rules between the three of them. Often, like, you've got guys who are kickboxers fighting MMA guys in different, in rule sets that are kind of adapted for each round.
I loved that. I loved when Demetrius Johnson fought. Was it he didn't fight Yotson? No, who did he fight?
I can't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
One round was kickboxing, and then next round was MMA.
Yeah, he didn't want a bar of it for the first round. He was kind of just coast. He did well, but then the second round he just took him down and fucking...
Yeah.
But it's... Yeah, I don't know. There's some interesting fights in One. It's just fun to watch. Like, I love watching Haggerty. I just love watching...
He's that teep that he's got, that push kick to the face is, something else. But he's got good hands too.
That's the thing. Not like modern Muay Thai fighters have to... They almost have to have better hands now, because it's not as kick heavy anymore. Because you do have those guys that come in and they're like way more punching heavy than they are kicking.
Yeah.
So they break all the rules of Muay Thai, but it's effective.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you've got 4-ounce gloves, all you need to do is get one decent hook in, and that's lights out.
What surprises me is the chin on some of these people, because a lot of these people are taking shots that if people in the UFC were taking those shots, I'd know for a fact they would get knocked out. Like, just the chin on some of these people is insane, because of the sharpness of the strikes that are getting landed are so different to MMA strikes.
Yeah, well, guys that have had 10, 20 MMA fights have been fighting in 4-ounce gloves for longer, so they've probably taken bigger, heavier hits over the years. So their chin's probably deteriorated compared to someone who's only ever fought in 10 or 12-ounce gloves their whole life, and then has now switched to 4-ounce gloves. Like, they're a bit more fresh, I would imagine.
I really, really, really wish that... Is it Borkow? I always get it. I really wish that he was still kicking on.
He is.
Is he?
Yeah, he's got... I mean, it's all exhibition fights, but I'm pretty sure he's got a fight coming up.
Isn't that like other homeboy? He does a heap of exhibition fights as well.
Yodson Clay?
Yodson Clay.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, they were just at the wrong era, I reckon. Although they did bring a lot of eyes to the sport.
Mm.
But, they'd be mega stars now. They are mega stars in Thailand. But
do you have anyone that you wish you could have fought?
Not really, to be honest, man.
No?
Not really. Yeah, I don't idolize people in that sort of way. There are people that, like, I just want to fight the guys that are the best at the moment. Like, I'd love to fight Super Bond. I'd love to fight.
Would you get nerves fighting like that? Do you still get nerves before fights?
Yeah, I do, but I've been doing martial arts and combat sports since I was 6, and I've been like competing like this for decades now. So it's kind of you get good at. I still get nervous, but you get good at managing the nerves. The thing that gets me is I don't care about getting hit or getting hurt. The thing that I hate, that I like really try to avoid, is losing. I hate losing. I hate the feeling of sitting down after a fight knowing I've lost. I don't care. Like, I'll sit in the fucking hospital and get stitched up. I'll put up with pain, but I can't stomach losing. Like, so that's what I get worried about, is like, oh, fuck.
Are you like that in every kind of avenue of life, though?
I am competitive, yeah, in everything. I am very competitive, but it's not a thing where I enjoy winning per se. I actually don't really care to win. I just hate to lose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a kind of...
I don't have that in me, eh?
You don't?
I get competitive in other senses,
Yeah.
But like, I'm not like I'm not like an extreme winner like that. Like that's a different mindset. I feel that you have to. That's what takes, I feel, people from being good at things to excellent at things.
Yes, I think for me, it's that's ultra. That's comes with being a second child, though. I reckon.
You're the second. I'm the baby.
Yeah.
I always win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get it fed to you,
Yeah.
When you're the baby. When you're the second, you have to scrap for everything.
It's middle child.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And so, it's that I hate, like I said, I hate losing. I hate the feeling of knowing I've lost. I hate that feeling that lingers, and that it's going to linger now until the next fight.
Until the next win.
And that could take, that at the rate this is going,
It's like
it could
a
take
mark
months.
on you. It's like a mark
It's
on
like
you.
a cloud over your head. Just everywhere.
Do you think
go.
that could also be like a negative, that could negatively impact how you fight sometimes?
Yes, but it definitely could. But I don't attach strong kind of. I tend to forget things like that kind of easily. I move on quickly, and I try not to let things like outside context.
Oh, that was.
I try not to let like outside context, impact things. I try and just let everything be based on its merit. But like I said, sometimes you can't. But yeah, for me, losing, getting hurt, I've fought, like I said, last fight, I in that 8-man tournament, I broke my leg in the second fight, and I ended up fighting in the final with a broken leg. This one I fought with a torn calf. You get injured, you get hurt. It's the pride hurting that's worse.
And
then,
a lot of people might not know that don't go to gyms or watch a lot of fighting or know a lot of fighters. No fighter ever really walks into a fight healthy.
Never.
Not
Like,
and if they say they are, they're fucking straight up lying. There's always an injury.
100%. And so, you could walk into I think even if you factor in a weight cut, or even if you're not weight cutting, even if you just fight at your walk
How much
around,
do you cut?
I cut down usually from about 77 kilos to 70. I fight.
So you've 7 kilo. That's not too bad.
Well, it's a 10% or just under a 10% of 77. So it is
You'd be pretty diminished on the day.
But so I'm not cutting 77 the night before. I'm cutting probably from 73 the night before. So
so you're just sweating out
I walk around 77, 78 kilos, but I drop my weight slowly as the fight gets closer. And then at fight week, I'm about 73, 74. And then I cut that last bit the night before. But I rehydrate properly, and there's protocols that you can use. I come into the fight, I'd say...
Are you allowed to use IVs?
No.
Why? That's so strange to me.
I
guess so people don't weight bully too much.
Well, they're a masking
Oh,
drug.
really?
They're considered a masking drug, not a performance enhancer, but a masker. So you could take certain substances and then take an IV drip
To wash them out.
To wash them out, yeah. So that's why it's illegal. Having said that, you don't get checked here in Muay Thai. I've never been checked here. I've been checked overseas.
Yeah.
But you don't get checked here. They don't care.
Well, Pereira weighed in at 205.
Yeah.
And the next day he was 236.
Yeah, apparently he cuts a substantial amount.
I don't know how he used to make middleweight.
No.
He used to make 180,
Yeah.
185. It's insane.
Yeah. I saw it when I went to Dubai. He was at the weigh-in. He is a fucking huge dude.
I'd love to see him in
mammoth.
person, because when you see these people on the TV, it doesn't do them any justice.
Not at all.
Like
I had no concept of how big he was. And then he was in the room and I was like, fucking hell, this dude's massive.
Is he like 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah, at least. And then his hands are like fucking massive mitts, like baseball glove sized fucking hands, dude. Like, no wonder you get caught with that left hook, you're in trouble.
That left hook to me is just... It's so confusing,
Yeah.
because he does not throw it. It doesn't look like he throws it nearly as hard as the reaction is give. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that when he knocked out Yuri on the weekend, and he knocked him down in the first round. He just popped it out there and just touched his chin. He didn't follow through with the shot. He didn't sit down on it.
Yeah.
He just whips it around and he kind of grazed his chin, and it's just fucking...
Well, you can see when he knocked him down at the end of the first, he threw that as a check hook when he was leaning back, and his chin's all the way up in the air as he's throwing it, and he's just kind of the end of his arm. But I guess because his arms are so long and his fist is so big, there's just the sheer mass accelerating through that's causing issues.
Yeah, like you said, I don't know how, because when I met Izzy in person in Perth, I was like, oh my God, you are not just a skinny fucking tall dude, you're
Massive.
a monster.
Yeah.
He's huge.
Yeah. Jacked.
And
yeah.
Pereira, he pales in comparison to
Yeah.
what Pereira's size would be. Yeah,
Yeah.
I reckon he could fight at heavyweight.
Oh, yeah, comfortably. I mean, he'd probably get taken down. I don't know if his jiu-jitsu's any good, but...
His jiu-jitsu looks fucking pretty good, man.
Well, he's Brazilian, isn't he?
He's got it built into him.
So I'm sure he's probably pretty good.
Have you ever dabbled in jiu-jitsu or anything?
Nah, not really. We've done... Like, when I was training for Karate Combat, because there is throws and takedowns, I did a lot of jiu-jitsu with, like, Will Kolarov and Anthony Puglisi and Mark, who used to run... Mark used to run jiu-jitsu at Rikers when we had it all incorporated. He now runs East Side up in Newton.
Does Rikers do jiu-jitsu?
No, so originally Rikers did jiu-jitsu and MMA, and Mark was the MMA jiu-jitsu coach training out of there. But he since opened up East Side Rolling, which is his gym nearby. I mean, and we're kind of have a good relationship. But as soon as I, was fighting on Karate Combat, I sought Mark out and I was like, dude, I don't know how to fucking post off. I don't know how to do any of this shit. I need to, the original guy that I was...
Wait, so in Karate Combat you can...
Yeah, there's takedowns and then there's 5 seconds of ground and pound.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you're allowed to take down and then you're not allowed to... It's no submissions, but you're allowed to take down and then strike a downed opponent.
For 5 seconds.
For 5 seconds. And then the referee will stand you up.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of a hybrid. And when I did Karate Combat, they didn't have... there was no knees and there was no low kicks. But now there's low kicks and there's knees. And
Has Wonder Boy fought on a card yet?
no, but I won't be surprised if he does.
He'd have to fight on one. He could still do it. He's still excellent for his age. If with the right matchup, you wouldn't give him like a young fucking savage.
No, you wouldn't give him a prospect. Same as Raymond Daniels.
Him and Raymond Daniels, that'd be a great fight.
That would be a good fight. Yeah. Although
Wonder Boy's bigger.
Yeah, Wonder Boy's a middleweight. Raymond Daniels used to fight lightweight, but he's now
Bigger.
stacked on the weight. So yeah, he's not. I mean, he's a tall dude, but he's quite skinny. Raymond Daniels.
Mm.
But yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Karate Combat's just one of those shows that I look at and I'm like,
It's a freak show.
it's a
fun.
sideshow.
It's
It's a
junk food.
carnival, man. Yeah, exactly.
It's junk. It's combat sports junk food. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It's like when you watch like all those weird Japanese leagues. Like,
Yeah. Do you watch them?
oh, I'll watch him on Instagram. That dude, he's got like, I don't know what it's called, but this dude, it's like a fucking carnival. You put like 2 midgets against like
Yeah.
I don't know what the promotion's called, but they put on some fucking hilarious fights. And he fights like the promoter will fight like 2 people at the same time in like clown suits.
You can only get away with that in Asia, though.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's like, Risen's still a thing as well, I think.
Yeah.
Risen?
Rise is the main one that they have over there in China and Japan.
They still have Pride as well, apparently.
Yeah, that's still going.
Because when I was in Japan, I was going to see if it linked up with a Pride card. And I didn't even know that Pride was still going.
No. Yeah, that's still going. And even Glory's moving
I didn't
back.
know that. I didn't know that Glory was still going.
Yeah, they're still going. They're picking back up.
Does Rico Verhoeven still fight?
No, he's doing movies now, man.
Is he?
He's a movie star now.
I would be too. He's a pretty attractive man.
That's the natural progression for some of those guys.
Badahari still fight?
I think he lost his last 4.
He lost his last 4.
I reckon he's lost his last
Just
at
hung
least
on too
3 or
long.
4. Yeah, and it's bad. Like he'll get hit with an innocuous shot and he'll go down, and then
wasn't Overeem going to make his comeback to?
yeah, he was, but I think he got popped for PEDs or something, didn't he?
What were they? Well, fuck.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's what happened with him.
Yeah, I don't know what. So that's unfortunate. I imagine the testing's pretty loose in some of those circles.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, when I went to Glory, they tested. They were very, very strict on it. But,
Really?
yeah.
Mm.
But then you get guys like Jamal Ben Sadiq. He was one of the guys in Glory. He just got sentenced to 40 years in prison.
For what?
Well, he got banned for performance enhancing. He got banned for
PEDs.
PEDs. Like, I think he got tested after the fight and he got banned. And then he just spiraled and he got done for like armed robbery or something like that.
Really?
Or some sort of, aggravated criminal assault.
A life after fighting for some people would be too much to fucking handle, I reckon.
Well, I'm fortunate that I'm like totally middle class, but a lot of these guys in those countries aren't. Like, they come from...
They're only where they are because of fighting.
Yeah.
And so their only option afterwards... And they might fucking... just because they're a fighter doesn't mean they're not struggling with hardcore addictions and fucking demons.
That's most likely what they are struggling with. And most of them are trained at gym, especially in Europe. Like, there's a lot of criminal enterprise associated with gyms because they get... And even promotions, because they're really easy to launder money through.
Or promotions, even... In this part of the world, you look at some promotions, you're like,
Yeah, totally. So, it's easy for some people who maybe don't have the right people around them to fall into, crime, I guess.
It's unfortunate, but it's kind of necessary in some places because that's the fighters are getting paid more when it's that kind of things involved.
Yeah, getting under the table. But I don't know. That's why I think shows where, one championship, like even UFC, where you've got guys that are like normal people. When I say normal, like you're the sort of person you'd see on the street, like a well-dressed, well-presented person is fight. Like, you look at someone like Wonder Boy, for example, you're like, that's a clean cut
Looks like a school
dude,
teacher.
Yeah, exactly. He's someone that people would look up to, and I don't know, in some of the other leagues across the world, there aren't people like that. Rico is one of those people.
Rico's a very well-spoken, fucking nice dude. It makes more sense for him to go down the movie path than to get punched in the face forever. Exactly. Now he's done his thing.
He's beaten...
He's probably considered one of the best of all time, and he's a heavyweight.
He's a heavyweight, yeah. And he won... I think he's defended his belt several times. He's won a couple of 8-mans and 4-mans over there. I think he did recently fight in an 8-man tournament. But yeah, he's definitely doing movies now, so he's still young. I think he's like 30 or something.
Is he only 30?
I think he's around that age.
Yeah, right.
He's young.
It's hard to when people are that big and that young, you kind of just get a perception that they're like some of the heavyweights in the UFC are younger than me now, and I'm like, that's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Like when you look at like AFL players or soccer players or whatever, and like the average age, they're like 25, and you're like, fucking hell.
I didn't know, so I don't watch soccer, but there's what is it, the Euros on at the moment?
Yeah.
England scored that crazy goal in the 90s.
Jude Bellingham.
He's fucking 21 years old.
Yeah, and he's Real Madrid's
he's
superstar.
The best player in the world apparently.
Yeah, he's very good, but he plied his trade. He started playing out in Belgium, I think. Not in Belgium, in Germany.
They make these kids in labs. Like when they see talent in Europe, they literally will fucking put you in a training camp for from a young age.
Well, he's got a brother that plays in England, I think, as well. But there's videos of him talking to camera when he was like 16, 17.
You get around soccer then?
Yeah, a little bit. You can tell that he's like well mature for his age, because I think he's comes from like his mum. He was a single mum. His mum's a single mum, and like he was in a foreign country. Like that just matures you,
And now he's earning 200 million euros a fucking year or whatever it is.
Something like that. I mean, I don't know he'd be on that much, but yeah.
I think he's accumulated 200 million euros in his career so far. Actually, sorry.
Or given like his current contract with Madrid, it would probably be the case. But yeah, guys like that pulling out a bicycle kick in the 95th minute when your team's 1-0 down and facing...
I don't watch soccer, but when something like that happens, even if you're not a fan of the sport or something, it's just seeing anyone do something great.
Well, So the only thing I think that would ever top that in terms of a bicycle kick in a big game would be Gareth Bale did something similar in the final of the Champions League a couple of years against Liverpool.
I get what team was he play for?
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Yeah, they're the Galacticos, they call them. They're the big superstars.
And then the Dubai's got their own league, and they're just buying up all the
Saudis.
The Saudis.
Yeah.
The Saudis they've got Ronaldo and
They bought Ronaldo. They bought a lot. It's the same thing that was happening over here a few years back. Like the A League, you could buy in one player that was like a megastar and not breach your salary cap.
Oh, so like your salary cap was void for one person.
Yeah, you could bring in a megastar. So like teams would bring in like David Villa or I'm pretty sure Harry Kewell came back and played. Like there was they do that to kind of drum up interest, but the quality of it's just not good.
Because
But Ronaldo's old, man.
apparently the American League is trying to buy Ronaldo now to put on whatever team Messi plays for.
Okay, yeah, he plays for Miami.
Miami. Yeah, which is David Beckham's team.
David Beckham's
Jesus fucking Christ. How much money do these teams generate to be able to do that?
Dude, yeah, David Beckham would be fucking wealthy in general anyway.
He'd be loaded, but I couldn't imagine Messi's playing for less than 100 million a year.
Yeah, probably something along those lines.
That's just phenomenal numbers to play soccer, isn't it? It's just crazy. It's like fighters are fighting for 12 grand.
Dude, tell me about it. I look at, I'm like, fuck, I picked the wrong sport, but...
Pereira would have walked out of that arena, I would say, with $1 million that night.
Well, he got a
303,000 K bonus. I imagine he'd be on like 350 to show, 350 to win, because the UFC do that win show money.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's a lot of backdoor, like, here's fucking 200 grand.
Yeah, well, that's what they do. I mean, in different sports as well, they get in trouble for it, but you do a signing bonus, or you buy the person a house, or you give them a car or something.
I hear there's a lot of that in one, a lot of cars and shit being thrown around. I didn't realise, so a lot of UFC fighters don't like coming to Australia. Obviously, the distance is fucked for them if they fight in America. But they get taxed by the ATO as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So they get fucking taxed by the ATO. Say they're earning, I'll say $1 million just for where they're not. Like a lot of them are earning not even a fucking tenth of that.
Yeah.
But they'll allegedly get taxed by the ATO, which would be, if they're earning $1 million, that's like fucking 49 cents to the dollar.
Yeah.
So say they're getting taxed 490,000, they're taking back their 510,000 to America, then it's getting taxed again.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting fucking just reamed.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, other countries, like, so whenever I've fought...
Do you have to pay? I was going to say, what's the tax?
Whenever I've fought internationally, you do get, like, so in US, a few times I've been paid in cash, so that's fine. But other times, like Glory, they paid you, and Karate Combat both paid you in US dollars in US, like they paid it to your bank account. And half of, like a US hold, I think maybe 30% or something like that. But they release it to you at the end of the next financial year, at the end of the financial year. So, like, I fought in June for Karate Combat, and then they paid me, I think, in early July. I had to wait all the way till fucking June.
But do you have to pay the ATO some of that?
You do.
You do.
You're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I did, yeah. Yes, I did. I declared it as income and I paid it.
That's fucking just stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this YouTube thing now, because I earn money on it now because I've got a certain amount of hours and subscribers and stuff.
Oh, look at you.
I had to like fill out a tax form. I had no idea what I was doing, but America tax me because YouTube's an American company.
Yeah.
It's just strange.
Yeah. So do you have to...
But apparently we got a tax treaty with America,
yes.
So it's like a reduced rate or something.
Well, that's what I was sort of getting at. Yeah, there's a tax treaty with the US and different countries.
Probably depends what state you're in as well, yeah, because California apparently have higher tax laws than, say, Texas would.
No, I think it's foreign income tax. I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
standard.
Yeah. So yeah, you're not paying state taxes. You're paying federal taxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they withhold a proportion for a given period of time. And if you don't fill out the tax treaty form and apply to have it sent to you, you can't have it sent to you.
Do you have, how old are you now?
33.
33. Do you have an age where you want to throw it in, or you don't want to?
I don't know.
Your missus is probably like, fucking do it.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I've got 2 kids as well.
I was going to say, how old's your oldest?
Charlie's 3.5. So he's...
Do you want to fight old enough for them to actually be able to watch?
I want him... I want him to be able to watch, because he comes to the gym and he knows... Like, I went to Dubai and I went to China without them this time. He came with us to Orlando, but he was too young. But I want him to... He knows vaguely... Like, he sees me on TV and he's like, oh... You know, he kind of understands, but he's never actually been to a fight show. I want to take him to a fight show and I want him to see it.
Are you one of those fathers or like fight athletes that would never let their kids do what you do?
No. I'd prefer if he didn't do it, but he'll do whatever he wants. And
if he came home one day and was like, let's fucking get it, you'd be like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
No,
yes.
like, look, I mean, I know how... I just see, like, are there pathways here for young guys? And if there is something that he can... Like, you got to look at it as risk reward. Like, is there potential for, you know, something that you can make a career, like a legitimate career out of yourself?
I think there is now. Australian combat sports and Australian combat sporting athletes, depending what avenue you go. I can only speak for MMA.
Yeah.
I can't speak for other... But I know now there is a lot more of a... It's still very hard, but there's a lot more of a clear path to get to a big promotion now in Australia.
Yeah.
You fight on a local show, you do well. Eventually, you want to get on Eternal.
Yeah.
Or like...
Hex.
Or Hex. Hex is a big show. But ideally, Eternal, because it's on Fight Pass, it's very close with the UFC.
Yeah.
If you do phenomenally on there's a good chance you'll go to the Contender Series of the UFC. You know what I mean? There's more of a clear path now. So it's not as ambiguous as it probably used to be, where it's like, fuck, do we just keep fighting until we get a phone call?
Yeah.
Like, there's more of a path now.
Yeah. Well, actually, the good thing with Muay Thai is, like, Rebellion, so Sai, his promotion in Melbourne,
Is that the biggest one at the minute?
That'll be the biggest Muay Thai specific show, I think. Or at least the most prestigious.
Has Knees just dwindled? I just don't hear of him at all anymore.
Knees is pretty much exclusively in New Zealand now.
Oh, he doesn't really...
Because Ethan lives in Bali and New Zealand. I think he's back and forth there. He was living in Adelaide at least some time of the year. And he grew up in Adelaide, so he would hold all of his knee shows here. But I think there's too many competing shows now in Adelaide.
There's a lot. There's fucking Valley Muay Thai. There's heaps of amateur ones.
Yeah, there's this kind of low-level amateur and semi-pro shows. So, I mean, there's a market for... If Ethan wanted to do Knees of Fury, like, full pro card, he would definitely have the ability to do that. But I just don't know if his heart's in it.
It's a big undertaking, and it's...
Especially when you're not living here as well.
And it's just a headache. I seen, like, just talking to Carly alone, and her, like, her promotion's sizable, but it's not the biggest promotion.
No.
And just the stress that fucking she goes through trying to organise one fighter to get to a show is fucking hard.
Yeah.
Let alone 36 or whatever it is.
Yeah, 100%.
It'd be crazy.
100%. And then people pull out and people, you know, get staph. Or, like, you know, you send them for an MRI, the paperwork's late, like all of that sort of shit, you know.
But so you plan to fight pretty well into the future?
I will keep fighting until my body tells me no more.
You seem like you're pretty... You wouldn't really hang on for too long. I think when you know it's over, it's over.
I've got nothing holding me, you know, in it. I love fighting, but...
Do you have a post-career plan to keep yourself... Obviously, you'll stay in the gym training, but would you take on a coaching role?
I think so. I think... Britt and I have talked about whether we open up a gym down the track. I can't do it now and fight full time. So,
yeah, it's too hard. You can't be a fighter and a coach.
No, and I've seen people try and do it and it doesn't work. So
no, it does. It never ends well because you need to be selfish as a fighter.
100%. And as a coach, you know, you need to be selfless and you need to put everyone else above, you know, and you need to be at the beck and call of your fighters basically. And there's no love in coaching. You know, and there's no money in it either. Like
it's a very big labour of love.
Yeah. So we've talked about it, and that's definitely something down the track. But like I said before, like I well, at least I've told you before, I've got a full-time job, you know, I work full-time hours, I've got kids.
You're doing fucking interviews on Channel 9.
Channel 7.
Channel 7.
Did you see that?
Dude, I didn't message you. So I was at home and I was a bit toasty. I was getting toasty. It was just one of those nights. And I like turned on the TV and I never turned the fucking TV on ever.
Yeah.
And I turned it on and I just seen you. I was like, fuck, are they talking about his leg? Like, why are they? Because it didn't register me. I seen you on the news and I was like,
yeah.
Are they talking about his injury on Channel 7? That's pretty cool. Yeah. But it was totally unrelated.
No. So that was I got literally the day I got back from China, 7 o'clock in the morning, got home, took the kids and Brett, we all went to Rundle Mall just to like, you know, go for a walk around and get some food and stuff. And that was the day that the Reserve Bank decided to keep interest rates, you know, as they were for the month of June or the month of May or whatever, month of June. And they've just seen, you know, Channel 7 are camped out and they've just seen a young family walking past and they're like, oh, let's get them to, you know, do an interview. So I spoke with them for a couple of minutes about, you know, home loans and mortgages and cost of living and stuff like that.
The fucking interest rates, if they go down, they're only going to go down maybe 0.5% by the end of the year, if that.
They won't go down. They're going back up.
They're going back up?
They're going back up, yeah.
Well, I don't even know what I'm on at the moment. I think I'm on like 6.2.
Yeah.
6.5. I don't fucking check anymore. There's no point of me checking.
Yeah.
So unless it's going down.
Yeah, well, they're not going down.
I don't understand how people are doing it though, because I bought this house when I was very young.
Yeah.
And I rented it out for a long time. So I knocked off a heap of my mortgage and I bought this house cheap.
Yeah.
I even feel
squeeze.
I even feel it. And I'm on a good wage.
Yeah.
I owe fuck all.
Yeah.
And I like, even I'm like, oh, that's fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I owe fuck all. If you owe like $500,000+,
yeah,
you are seriously fucked.
Well, you wouldn't want to have bought a house in 2022.
Everyone bought houses in COVID. That's when everyone bought them. And the banks were fucking just throwing money at them. It's like, oh, you want a $700,000 loan?
Here you go.
Here you go.
Yeah.
And now you're paying $1,400 a week.
Yeah. Yeah, we bought in 2019 and we knocked
just before
prices went through the roof. And we knocked off heaps of our loan. But I saw the winds change in 2021 and I had a chat with Brett and I was like, look, we're paying, a current rate was like 1.8% or something at that point. I was like, let's fix our home loan for as far as we can into the future. And so we fixed our loan and our loan's fixed at 2.2% and it rolls over to variable in May next year.
That's not too bad.
So we haven't had an interest rate shock for the last 4 years. Now, touch wood, you know, we've been very lucky.
I knew so many people that had their fixed interest rate end like
halfway through
3 years ago, 2 years ago, and they're just like, oh no, because then it's at least. For me, because I just don't look at it. I just don't care. Yeah. I just don't want to stress about it. It just comes out my account. I'm not going to look at it.
100%. That's how you have to be.
I'm not going to get upset over it. Yeah. But I gradually seen the increase.
Yeah.
Whereas these poor cunts that have gone from 1.8% straight to fucking 7, they're like, oh my God, we can't afford food.
Yeah.
We actually can't afford food.
Yeah.
Like, I went to the shops the other day to buy, because I live by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the shops the other day to just buy something for one meal. I was making chicken and rice with some mushrooms. Mm-hmm. I bought laundry detergent and a bag of chips. It cost me fucking $85.
Fucking hell.
$85 for just one meal and enough detergent for a month.
For a bag of detergent and a
chicken... rice, mushrooms, a bag of detergent, and a bag of chips.
Yeah, and did you get it from Coles?
I went to the IGA.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. So every time I go to Coles, I buy a thing of chicken. It's like $25.
It's insane.
And then you open it and the chicken's fucking off.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 days before the expiry date.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. And it's like, does your wife do the shopping in the house?
I do the shopping.
You do? I was going to say, all the lads out there letting their girls go shopping one day, you have a fucking heart attack at how much they have to spend.
I spend we budget for $350 to $400 a week on groceries.
You
And we
do
easily max that out every single
I was
week.
going to say that would be hard with 2 children.
Yeah,
especially the younger ones.
2 kids, it's hard because you start paying for nappies and you start paying for formula and food that they don't even freaking eat, and all of that sort of stuff. But we eat pretty well as a family. But we buy a huge. Every Saturday after training, I go to the gym while Britt puts the kids down for a nap and like does washing and stuff. I go out and do the food shopping. And consistently, it costs $250-$300.
Do you go to like Costco?
No.
Apparently, it's good.
Yeah.
I've never been.
No.
But my brother and that have like the memberships or whatever you go there because it's all bulk.
Cash and carry sort of thing.
It's all bulk, but it's all pretty like good produce and shit there.
Yeah, right. I just can't be fucked, to be honest.
Because I'm by myself. I don't shop because I know if I go and spend $400 at the shops,
half the food you're not eating.
I'm just not going to eat it.
Yeah.
It's actually cheaper for me to go out and eat every night.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for me to go to a restaurant every night.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It is. Like, I could go to the city, go to a nice restaurant or a nice Thai restaurant or a Chinese restaurant, and I could sit down and I could fill up for $35.
Yeah.
$30. It's so hard to cook for one person.
Yeah.
Or like, it's just...
Well, you're cooking every day anyway as well.
That's the thing. I don't want to come home and fucking cook.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to eat shit because I come home so late, I don't want to eat shit, so it's hard. But I'll just usually cook like a chicken or a rice or something for like 3 days, 2 days, and just eat that.
Yeah, that's what we do. We cook up a big meal and just leave it in the fridge. But then we'll get Uber Eats, and Uber Eats is
I fucking love some Uber Eats, man. It's there's nothing better than it's like 9:30 at night, and you're just like, I could just get a pizza right now.
Yeah, we do that often, and blow
it's a trap,
fucking budget, because it's like, you get it for Lily's. I got a 6-month-old baby, so she doesn't eat obviously, but for 3 people, you're looking at $80 to $100 most times.
$100, yeah.
And most of that's fucking delivery.
Dude, I'm such a pig with Uber Eats. I've been so hungover once. I've ordered like a can of drink.
Don't you have cans of drink out here? Like, couldn't you just...
If I'm that hungover, I will not walk to here.
Yeah, well.
I like this could be Mexico to me. I would just too far away from my bedroom.
I don't think I've ever been that fucked up that I wouldn't.
I've fucking gotten into some dark places. This Sunday, we did a live stream for the fights.
Yeah.
I've not been that drunk in a very long time, and I literally was falling asleep on the podcast.
I saw a video of you, one of the last UFCs, when it was like with Miles maybe or something, when you went to Perth.
Oh.
Where you were fucked up at that one.
No, that was the worst I've ever been. So that was just a bad weekend
Tell
for
me
everyone. Miles knocked my tooth out.
Did he?
Yeah, we did a slap fight. You know the slap fighting?
Yeah.
We did one, and he fucking cleaned me up. One slap, almost like pretty much knocked me out.
Yeah.
And
you're playing with fire there.
Yeah, it was pent up rage in that. There was some hate in that. Dude, that sucks. That slap fighting just doesn't appeal to me at all.
That's crazy that people even think that's like a viable...
If you flinch, you lose. It's proper like...
Really?
Yo, you're not allowed to flinch. You got to just stand there.
Just brace and just like watch your brain cells just evaporate out your ears. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't...
I'm not sure how like Dana White would be able to get away with like indemnifying himself from lawsuits down the track, for that sort of thing.
I guess it's any promoter, but that's a very hardcore CTE like sport.
Fucking oath, man. Like, I mean, come on, I get the risk of like MMA or Muay Thai or
Yeah, but there's glory in it. There's like...
Is there?
Like in MMA or or Muay Thai, there's a glory in fucking like winning. Like it's like, but then in a slap fight, it's just 2 hillbillies fucking throwing down.
Well, that's it. Like you look at MMA or any sport, any combat sport, at least you can see people and you're like, I know who that is. I couldn't tell you anyone that's...
It's just a lot of ex like fighters and shit are going to do it now. Dana must be throwing him a lot of money to go and do it because after getting slapped once by Miles isn't the biggest cunt in the world.
No, but he can generate some power.
Oh, man, he fucking knocked my tooth clean out my mouth.
Which tooth?
My back tooth cut in half.
Really?
Yeah.
So what did you do?
Nothing.
Nothing, you just
kept drinking.
That's all you can do.
It snapped off so clean that it's fine. I went to the dentist and they're like, oh, you could fill it in, but the way he did it, it's like perfectly in half.
Yeah.
I remember I was drinking my beer and I was like, what the fuck? And I spat in my hand and I just felt like I'd seen half my fucking tooth. I was like, this is like 6 hours into getting into Perth as well.
Wow.
I surprisingly wasn't the worst one there.
Who was?
Adam Jones.
Oh, yes.
Adam Jones was on a fucking mission that weekend. Because his brother...
all I've seen is the videos, I reckon, of you. Maybe these like Instagram stories. Maybe it was when you fucked up your tooth. But yeah, you were...
I got a Olympic swimmer choked me unconscious.
Nice.
A woman.
Nice.
We were all hammered and she didn't think she had it in her to choke someone unconscious.
So you volunteered.
I was like, let's get it.
Yeah.
And we were with like Craig Jones and everyone and she put me... I've been to sleep a few times. It's not that bad. It's actually kind of pleasant after... the first couple of times.
When I was in high school, my mate learned how to do choke holds and he did it to me. We used to just fuck around and he did it to me in like one of the assemblies or something like that. And I've just passed out and I was like snoring on the ground.
It's crazy how quick it happens.
It's just instantly, dude.
Yeah,
it's just,
like she choked. She was very strong because she was a professional swimmer and she put me out in fucking 4 seconds.
Yeah. That's good, man.
Have you ever been knocked out?
No.
No.
Oh, I mean, in training I have.
In training?
In training I have.
It's funny how that works. Everyone's been knocked out in training before.
Yeah, I've been knocked out in training, but not in a fight, no.
What was the feeling like? I've never actually been
I recall
knocked out.
getting hit, like now looking back at it, I recall, like at the time, I just remember... Like, I don't actually remember what happened. I remember sitting down against the wall, and then I remember kind of driving home afterwards. But before that...
Oh, really? So you were hazy for that long?
Yeah, probably a good hour. But, yeah, I remember I got clipped on the top of the head with a hook in something, and I kind of remember everything going warm and dark. Warm and dark, and then I was kind of like, and then I must have got hit again the second time.
It's crazy when you see someone get like knocked out on their feet and they fight their way back into the fight. That's just such a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's why I think there's less CTE. Well, we don't know yet, but I think there will be less CTE symptoms in MMA than in any other combat sport.
You reckon?
Because we don't have 10 counts.
Yeah.
I think the 10 count is so dangerous for you.
Yeah.
Because you've been knocked out, you're going to get back up, then you're going to fight again, and then you can get knocked out again.
Yeah.
But you can just keep getting back up. Whereas if you're in an MMA fight and you get into the situation where it would have been a 10 count, most likely you're going to be out of that fight in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You're going to get finished.
Yeah.
You might absorb 1 or 2 more strikes, and everyone thinks it's brutal, but it's like those like boxers. That's why boxers are so fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're just absorbing damage. They get knocked out, get up, like knocked out, get up, and it's just fucking terrible.
And there's nothing like... see, I see boxers training and they wear like head guards and stuff, but it actually doesn't do anything.
No, headgear is fucking terrible because it just ruins, like, it just makes you think you can take harder punches.
Yeah, and not only that, it creates like additional weight on your head, which can rattle that around.
And it's an extra couple fucking... It doesn't sound like a lot, but if it's like half an inch of padding, that's half an inch that your head is bigger. So you're not... when it comes to fight day, you're not going to adjust to the punches as well.
Yeah, exactly. Your head's a bigger target, so in training you get hit more. And also, like, it obscures your vision most.
You can't really see out of your peripherals.
Yeah, so you get tagged in the side of the head a lot.
I've never worn headgear. I've never seen any... No one at M16 I've ever seen wears headgear, besides maybe wrestlers might wear the ear guards for cauliflower ears and stuff.
We do a fair bit of boxing with, like, pro or semi-pro boxers. Like, they'll come in and do boxing sparring, and they'll always wear headgear. I've never worn headgear.
It's just force of habit for them, probably. Like, I watch Callum Peters spar a lot because he puts it on his live. Man, they fucking spar hard.
Yeah, he does a lot of rounds, doesn't he?
For a young bloke, they spar really hard. He's a phenomenal fighter.
Yeah.
Promising, but it's a lot of boxers spar really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess you need to.
We spar hard, but I think the key when you're fighting, and the principle that I believe...
You do spar pretty hard at Rikers, eh?
Oh, yeah, we spar hard. But the idea is, like, you don't get hit. Like, that's the whole idea, is to be able to hit, make them miss, and make them pay, rather than standing toe to toe
And scrapping.
just scrapping. Like there's glory in that, but there's no sustainability.
I'm sure that
in
every
that.
now and then there might be ego
There's
getting...
a need and time.
Yeah.
There's a need and a time, but yeah, it's not a longevity thing.
I'm sure you'd have some excellent rounds with Jack. That would be fucking really fun to watch.
Yeah, me and Jack have some good rounds.
He has one of the most awkward styles, the
thing about Jack is he fucking hits hard. He's got sharp he's got really sharp hands. He throws good combos
He doesn't
together,
miss.
and he hits hard. He does have a bit of an awkward style. His technique can be a little bit awkward.
It's very
for whatever
sticky.
reason, for whatever reason, he delivers a lot of power. Actually, he always tags me with his jab because his jab doesn't load up at all. It's just like straight from point A to point
And
B.
he hangs it out there.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring it straight back to his head.
Yeah.
But he's very rigid in his movement, but it also allows him to never be out of position.
Yeah.
Like his foot, you'll never see Jack stumble on his footwork because he's always just so in position.
Yeah, he's good. He's now that he's starting to progress and fight some of these guys that are better, it's going to be it'll be good for him. But he's risen to every single test that he's had. His last fight was good.
Shout out to that guy who took that fucking fight.
Josh Lim. Yeah,
He did.
He
got copped it, but he didn't quit.
He knew he was going to, but he still came in.
Tough motherfucker, real tough.
Yeah, beast. He took the fight. For those who don't know, he took the fight. I think on
a week,
4 or 5 days.
Yeah,
notice,
it was roughly a week's notice, and I remember talking to Carl. He's like, you can't be like, oh, this Jack's a fucking maniac. You got to kind of you got to kind of undersell him to make him feel comfortable, and then but you don't want to it's hard. It's a hard position to put someone in because Jack's not a normal dude to get matched up with on fucking 4 days.
Yeah.
It's a bad matchup for a full fight camp for a lot of people.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight him, to be honest. He's fucking good.
He is he's got a necessary meanness in him.
Yeah, he's got the streak. He's
very sweet dude.
He's such a humble, very shy guy, but when push comes to shove,
if you're in a room together and one of you's getting out, you're probably not going to get out of the room.
I love Jack. He's a great dude. I get along with him very well. Like his wife, Tammy, she's beautiful. He's a sweet dude.
He's a very driven man.
Very humble, very hardworking dude. But yeah, you can tell when push comes to shove, if it's time to scrap, it's time to scrap with Jack. He's got that in him. He's got the dog in him, and
same as his brother, as Trent.
Trent's the same as well, So I like Jack for that. I like, we'll be sparring, and some people just go into their shell a little bit in sparring. They'll kind of get overawed, or they'll, maybe run a little bit, try not to get hurt. Whereas Jack's just let's fucking go, And then afterwards, he's
it's important for people like you and Jack to have those kind of rounds, because I don't imagine there's many gyms in Adelaide you can go into and get those rounds in.
When I started at Rikers, I used to get beat up frequently. I just used to get bashed all the time by the fighters there, guys like Charlie Chow and stuff. They just used to fucking bash me. And that was the best thing for me, because eventually you start to work out, okay, what works. And then you just start to trust yourself. All right, let's fucking go. Let's have a scrap. And then now I'm the guy at the gym where the hammer. The hammer a little bit. And I try not to go too hard on the young ones. But there needs to be a balance. You need to get hit. You need to get hit body shots. You need to get chopped out. You need to get knees to the guts. You need to get hit.
You need to be the nail.
You need to cop it to learn how to avoid it in a fight, because it's better that it happens in training.
You need to know how shit it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You're I need to know how to not let that happen again.
Yeah, and you need to know, can I rely on myself if push comes to shove to just bite down on the mouth guard and start swinging? You know what I mean? And, I had to go through that and learn it. And I don't want the guys at the gym that start to feel like they're getting overawed, but they do need to, I always say to the guys, we'll go 50, 60% to the head. I don't want to knock you out with punches to the head, or vice versa, but punches, kicks, everything to the body from the neck down, 100%. Needs to be hard. You know, you need to feel what it feels like. If there's a weakness somewhere, like if you don't check the kicks, or you're there to be, you know, if you know, you leave your body open or whatever, that needs to be exposed now, so that on fight night it doesn't get exposed.
Well, just even leg kicks. Like, I remember I went sparring for the first, because I'll train mornings and shit, but I went sparring for the first time in fucking a long time, and it was the week before Jack's fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actively looked in the car park and I was like, if Jack's car's there, I'm not going in. And I was dead serious. I was like, oh, I'm not going to fucking go in. No one would have seen me. I'm just going to go home. Yeah. And then I didn't see his car, and I was like, walked up the stairs and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
It's all right. It looks like decent crew in here tonight. Should be all right. And fucking, like, I just heard him coming up the stairs and I was like, you're joking. And I never sparred him before, and I was like, I've actively dodged him. And he's fucking looked at me, he's like, oh, we've never sparred before. And I was like, fucking, oh shit. And he's like a week out of camp, so it's as sharp as he's ever going to fucking be. Yeah. And I think the thing with Jack is, it's like because obviously you'd be very different for you, but because of the fear that I know, whenever I throw something,
something's coming back.
4 things are going to come back, and 3 of the 4 are going to land really hard.
Yeah.
So you just get in this thing where it's like, fuck.
I don't want to pull the trigger.
I don't want to pull the trigger, but then he's pulling the trigger anyway. So then it's like, but he was very nice to me, but he fucking leg chopped me, I remember, and I hadn't been leg chopped in ages, and it's crazy how much you lose that. That conditioning.
The conditioning
like
goes.
Even you not taking leg kick for your injury, you'll probably even notice that it just diminishes so quickly, your conditioning on your legs.
Well, it's funny you say that, because before I went to Dubai, I tore my calf. The fight I had in Dubai, it was in February, end of Feb. I tore my calf the first time before Christmas last year. And so then I had like this long sort of 8-week rehab thing where I was training, but I wasn't doing like full hard training, and I wasn't getting kicked in the legs at all. And then about 2 weeks before the fight, I started like doing full training again. And then a week before the fight, I did sparring with Jack, and he's given me a couple chops, and my legs were just not in a way to handle it. And I was just like, fucking hell, like how, you know.
It's crazy.
I've lost it straight up, like overnight, lost it, gone. And then you build it back up, and then sure enough, you know, something happens again, like you tear your calf. And so now, I've got a long process of rehab, hoping to fight in end of August. I'm back, like moving around, riding the bike and stuff, but it's that conditioning that you get from throwing kicks or having kicks thrown at you, or just clashing, you know, it's
just even shin on shin. That's fucking the worst. That's like, how come, I don't watch enough probably to know, but how come in Muay Thai and kickboxing they don't implement calf kicks as much as MMA?
It's a weakness. I mean, I've started trying to do it, but the thing is, people don't, in MMA, guys are a little bit more side on, or can be a little bit more side on.
Because they're preparing for the takedown.
Yeah. Whereas in Thai boxing and kickboxing, they're more front on. And the calf kick works really well when the person's calf is exposed.
And you can wrap around it.
Yeah.
Because then you're not hitting their shin.
Exactly. Because if you throw a calf kick and someone's square on it, all they got to do is turn the kney outward.
And then it's shin on shin.
Shin on knee, and you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you can't really try and find it, like cut an angle a little bit to find an angle on them to expose that calf. Because I was really curious as to why you don't see it as much, because it's so effective. You need just one of them, and you're fucked.
Well, I broke my fibula. My fibula was snapped in that fight in the 8-man tournament the last time I spoke with you, from a calf kick, from 2 calf kicks, because I was side on. The young Japanese guy who I fought kicked me once in the calf. I was like, oh fuck, and he kicked me the second time, and you
wouldn't have been used. You can't condition. You can't condition
bear weight
for
on the leg. I was like, what the fuck's happened here? Luckily, I ended up winning the fight in the next round, but then I was in big trouble. I had to go out into the last fight with a broken leg. I didn't know it was broken at the time, but I like completely strapped up. I had like all this strapping on my leg. The doctor was like, she was watching me like hobble around, and she was like, you know, she was going to call the fight off. I was like, you're not fucking calling the fight off. But the best time I think to throw a calf kick is if someone's side on, or if someone throws a jab. If they lean on their front leg,
and they're putting their weight on it.
That's a good time to wrap the calf kick around. But you don't get those opportunities a lot.
Yeah,
that's why you don't different. See it. But if you can do a calf kick, no one's conditioned.
Well, you can't train for it. You can't. It's not like you can't do it. It's not the same. It's just not the same thing. It's changed MMA so much.
Yeah.
In that, I think it's the last 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years, it's come in pretty popular. But when they get that little, is it perennial nerve?
Yeah.
And people's legs just die.
Yeah.
Like, they just can't control their leg anymore.
Yeah.
If no one's ever been leg kicked before, just get your mate to kick you in the thigh. It fucking sucks.
Oh, dude, yeah. Yeah, the first thing, like when I first started training kickboxing, Muay Thai, because I'd done heaps of martial arts before and I was fairly conditioned in terms of like my feet and my instep, but I was never really conditioned in my shins. But the biggest shock is getting kicked in the leg.
Oh, I would prefer to get punched in the nose than leg chopped out.
100%.
Like,
I'd rather get body shot, like a good body rip to the liver.
Because a leg, like when you get chopped out, it doesn't end after the fight.
No.
You are fucked for months.
I remember, having to get picked up and driving home in the car because I couldn't drive. Had to get picked up and driven home and having just being in fucking agony. No matter where I'd put my leg, I couldn't get comfortable. Have it up on the dashboard, laying in the back seat.
And it's just warm and it's blood. You can feel just all the swelling.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine what Uriah Faber's leg looked like after that Jose Aldo fight. Have you ever seen that picture?
No.
That is without a doubt the worst.
The blackest leg.
The worst I've personally ever seen. I'll put it up for you right now. Wait up. I'll get it up here. Jose Aldo absolutely murdered Uriah Faber's leg. I think it was in their second fight.
Oh.
Isn't that the most disgusting thing you've ever seen?
That's on the back as well.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was such a good display of leg kicks.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's unconditioned,
isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's. He'd be like he would probably have had like a compartment syndrome type injury after that as well, where it wouldn't just be like as soon as the bruising goes.
No, that's some permanent. That's some like severe damage.
Yeah, the amount of blood in there, you can see like the amount of blood at the surface level, but there'd be so much blood within the muscle there that would take a long time to go away.
Oh, it's just any time you got kicked in the leg, you'd have flashbacks. That's another thing. How do you deal with not worrying about your calf now?
Well,
do you do like sports therapy?
No. So when I did the calf previously in the fight before Dubai, it had completely healed by the time the fight had occurred. So I didn't even, I wasn't worried about it. The problem is you miss out on 4 to 6 weeks of good training in the lead up. And that's the sort of thing I didn't really factor in, is that missing out on that.
He was training.
While they're training, you're not, and even though you're doing runs in the park and you're doing, bits and pieces and you're fit, you're not fight fit. And so I was a little bit rusty there. And then this fight's different because I was like carrying an active injury, whereas the last one it had recovered and I was back to full training. So I don't know. I think now that it's happened a couple times, I'll be a little bit careful. But it's not. I think if it was like a ligament injury, like a meniscus tear or something like that, I'd be worried. But because it's a muscle and in the belly of the muscle, that can recover and heal up pretty comfortably, and you don't sort of have issues. So yeah, I don't think it'll be an issue, but I don't know. We'll see.
It sounds like you've dealt with injury before, so you kind of know the steps to take to rectify it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've had a long career, and I've been
How many fights?
I've had 30 pro fights, but I was doing sports karate and taekwondo for a long time, and I've probably had 400 fights across those.
Yeah, I guess taekwondo and karate, like you're able to fight almost every weekend, eh?
Well, there'd be a tournament every, 3 weeks.
And there'd be like 4 or 5
And
fights per.
And you'd get 4 or 5 fights, So there was, I was doing it since
People
I was
shit
16.
on traditional martial arts, but I think they're a really good base.
100%. Really good for footwork, really good for learning how to cut weight, really good for it's all day, so you weigh in the day before and then you fight. So it's all the same sort of stuff. You learn how to prepare for it.
Just leg dexterity when you're a kid, just learning. It's like...
Yeah, 100%.
Because your legs work very different to a traditional Muay Thai fighter's legs. Your hips are just different things.
Yeah. And also, it's the depth perception with... I'll see someone move, like to go to throw a jab, and I'll be able to move my feet back just to create just enough room so that they miss, but put myself in a position where I can counterattack.
It's like when Wonder Boy first came on the scene in the UFC, there hadn't been a striker like him in the UFC before.
Yeah.
People couldn't get past his legs. He was using his front lead leg like a fucking jab.
Yeah.
And it was such a problem for everyone.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, how do I get around this?
And it's even like MVP. He would be the most frustrating person to fight because you're in his range when you're 1.5 meters away from him.
Yeah.
You're still in his range.
Yeah.
He can cover so much distance with his length of his limbs.
Yeah.
And his explosiveness with his karate's style.
Yeah.
He can just close a gap on you from 2 meters away and still kick you or punch you. It's wild.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, you learn that footwork, and you just get used to...
It's also the ring, like the amount of ring time you're getting.
That's what I was getting at. You just get used to being in there, in that kind of stressful environment, and the application of the skill differs depending on... But I can go have a Muay Thai fight, I can go have a kickboxing fight, I can go boxing, I can then go do a karate combat fight all in 1 year. And the skill application changes, but fighting is fighting. It's all the same. It's all the same.
It's the same goal.
It's the same goal. It's the same. Just how you deploy the skills that you have is slightly different, and the rule set differs. But what you're actually doing is the same.
Yeah,
Across
I want to hurt
sports.
you more than you hurt me, and
Yeah.
I want to get hit less than you hit me.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to be in a position, here. I want to be able to draw something out, move, and counter. What that movement and counter looks like differs, but it's the same.
Well, I do hope your recovery goes well, and I do hope that we can see you August, you were thinking?
Yeah, end of August. So
Australia?
Hoping to be sometime in August. China have said that the guys in China have said that they'll get me back end of the year as well. So hopefully I can have another 2 fights by the end of the year. I'd really like to have 3, but whatever. Hopefully August I think will be the earliest I can fight. Mid to late August. That's 6-8 weeks now, so that'll give me enough time to kind of rehab everything properly and train properly and get Jack in to do some good rounds, get me sharp.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We'll do it again.
No worries, bro. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
bro.
Awesome.
Enjoy.
Cheers.